Okay, welcome back, Brandon. So we had just spoke about your grandfather passed away. You're taking care of grandma. How are things with you and mom now?
A lot better too, because about 2 years ago, my stepdad passed away. So
Mhm.
he started drinking alcohol too, which was crazy because he never really drank. He was always a weed smoker.
Mhm.
So the past 5 years of his life, he was drinking hard tequila for a while, and then I don't know, he was just really bad. And then one day he just kind of fell over and hit his head, and then he was not the same after that. He kept talking about that when he would go to the hospital. So
Mhm.
it was kind of weird. And then the day he passed, it was just weird. It was just, he talked about that. He's like, I hit my head the other day, and it was, I think that was kind of what triggered. I don't know what happened with that, but yeah, he would always talk about that before he passed.
Wow, that is a little odd, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was crazy. Yeah,
So now it's you, grandma, and mom, kind of back full circle to kind of where things were growing
yeah,
up and stuff.
yeah.
I
And my
mean,
sister, and my
uh-huh.
sister's in there too. My uncle. I
Yeah.
have an uncle too. The crazy thing about my uncle is I take care of my uncle along with my grandma. Because it's kind of fairly recently too, about 3 years ago or so, he kind of like he fell off the wagon too. He was kind of like in the same position I am, like where he went to rehab and he got a job from the rehab and was working at the hospital. And he met this girl and they kind of fell off the wagon and he started doing meth and then like he kind of like never came back out of that and just like stayed lost. I guess you could say he's not the same guy as he once was.
That's a shame.
It's just yeah, he has like alcoholics amnesia or something like that. So it's like he's not he doesn't remember everything. Like
Wow.
2 minutes, every 2 minutes I think is a new life for him.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
that's tough. That's tough to have to
yeah,
go through that. But I think it might be, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of like a deterrent for you, right? To see that. I mean, you can't be interacting with that type of alcohol induced mentality and
yeah,
be like, "Oh gosh, I wish I could drink again." Like that has to turn you off, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I imagine that would be difficult, especially because you and your uncle were pretty close.
yeah. For the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what does it look like with Christ in your life today? We've talked about the family and stuff. You're obviously working. Tell me
Hmm.
a little bit about how he has blessed you and how you get to use your testimony to help others.
Okay, so like you were just mentioning my job and stuff. So with that, I talk to people who are actually homeless on the streets and are that want to combat their addiction. So if they want to stop drinking, that's kind of what I offer and give them help. And that's kind of why I think God has helped me put in here, just to help others. To help others that are where I am, to help save me, like people like me. I don't want to say, not say the guys that look like me,
Yeah.
the
And
cool
that's
guys.
true. Yeah, yeah. He can take our strength and turn it into, or our weakness and turn it into strength for his kingdom. And he can take those ashes and make it beauty. And so have you been able to reach others? I mean, is there how many others? What does that look like what's that look like for you?
Well, some days there's some guys that will come up to me, be like, "Hey, man, today I didn't drink because I thought of you today, and I thought of what you said the other day, so I didn't drink." So I was like, "Oh, cool, man. Well, that's awesome. So that's really cool. It's just cool to know that there's sometimes that people do listen. Like
Yeah.
I like, yeah, if you want to listen, that's fine. But I'm just here. I'm just a guy that's here. Like,
Glory to God. Are you able to share the gospel with them? Or, if they get to a certain point, has anyone gotten, how long have you been in this position? Should be my question.
about like fairly recent, 4 or 5 years maybe. So
Okay.
like I'm still fairly new to the game too.
Yeah. Yes. Have you been able to share the gospel with them?
A little if they ask, they're like, so like if they would ask, because I'm not trying to be preachy and say, hey, because I don't want them to get deterred by me saying, hey, this is what Jesus did to me. So I'm not like, oh, hey, you need to go to church or anything. So I'm like, I just tell them what they want to know. And then usually if the question comes up, how did, like you would say, like, how did God change you? You know, I usually tell them then. But there are times when they're like, did you ever find Jesus? And I'm like, yeah. And that's when I usually jump on him and I
I
tell them.
love that. I think you said that perfectly. Whenever this is how Jesus changed me, right? Because I think it's important that whenever we have these conversations, we don't just smack them upside the head with the Bible. We tell them from our own personal testimonies, which is why I do this, right? Is because I want people to hear the testimony and to know that, this is how God has worked in others' lives. And not only that, but it's not always this profound, you didn't even have a relationship with Christ. And he still loved you and he was still there for you and he still brought you out of those things. So I think that's important because people think, oh, well, I don't even know who God is. Well, neither did you. Not
Nice.
right away.
Yeah. He's saving me though. He is saving me. I mean, I'm blessed with everything I do have. You know, I mean, everything is from him. You know, I got a house over my head, got food on my table. You know,
Yes.
nothing more, nothing more I can complain about.
And so and you and Rob have stayed close. I can say, personally, because I witnessed that. You still attend church with him, stuff like that. How has he been able to use you to use your testimony to help reach other Navajo who may be struggling, or how does that relationship work?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes he'll bring up my, like, oh, I have somebody here. Then sometimes there's some people that come into the church off the streets that I happen to know, and I'll be like, hey, bro, you know. Then they'll sit down, and I'll be like, hey, man, and I'll give them some food, give them a little bit of this, and then sometimes they get a little, I don't want to say unruly, but you know, I know why they're there because I've been in jail with them, so I know what's happening. So I'll usually be like, all right, let's go outside real quick, man. You know, be like, hey, you all right? And then I'll talk about it with them and be like, yeah, man, you know, thanks, dog. You know, I just came to get me something to munch and thanks, bro, for, you know, this and that. And I'm like, yeah, man, you know, you're welcome here anytime.
You tell yourself you gotta hold on. Just keep your eye on the